Minister Rishworth, on March 6th, you said, quote, that the government is doing what they can to support Australians in need by lauding the regular indexation of welfare payments. As a JobSeeker recipient, indexing meant basically an extra $1.60 into my bank account. When will you get real with the millions of Australians struggling on income support? Will this government commit to a real increase to the rate in the upcoming budget?
Look, thank you for that question. And of course, we do know Australians are doing it tough, and particularly those on income support. And our government has said where we can, we want to provide more support to people that is responsible.
That was a very direct question, and the question was, will the government commit to a real increase in the rate in the upcoming budget? It's a very straightforward question.
Well, I'm not going to be able to, announce the budget here. I don't think I'd get a lot of support from the Treasurer to do that. What I'm saying...
Are you going to take that to them? No, you're going to say, look, what is it at the moment? $745 a fortnight with dependents. Shouldn't that be increased?
Well, we will be looking across the board at everything we can do to support people. As I've already said on numerous occasions, indexation is a part of supporting regular adjustments, but of course we will be looking at how we can better support people. In the budget, we've also said the energy relief on people's bills will be incorporated into the May budget, and that will have a focus on those on government payments. But we'll always be looking at what we can do more for people that's responsible. But I have to say, we do have to do that in a responsible way. We do have inflation that's running high at the moment. As inflation runs high, we need to manage that. And so our economic plan is how we...
What if you took the tax cut away from the rich and gave some of that to the people on JobSeeker?
Well, what we're talking is the upcoming budget, and we're talking about the upcoming budget in May, and we'll have announcements to make that. I'm making the general point is we will be looking at how we best can support people.
Yes, you were on JobSeeker, is that right, Deni?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. During COVID, it literally got me through life, and it was a massive privilege because I was, I say this word with a lot of love. If you know, I was just a wog boy living at home with my parents, right? So we don't pay rent. So basically, I was getting JobSeeker and I was able to have a little buffer, but that in and of itself is a privilege. So my question to you, Amanda, it's my best friend's name, is I would love to know who in your party, the Treasurer, etc. I love politics, but I'm slightly more into American politics, so bear with me. So when they are making these decisions, is there someone in there with lived experience who has done it tough, or is it giving the slice of the cost of bread situation? Because the fact of the matter is that I have a very privileged life. Manolos don't come cheap, but my girlfriends, don't, full stop. Teachers, oh my God, all my best friends are teachers, nurses, they're schlepping around cafes to do this, that and the other to make ends meet. As we say in Arabic, that's haram. How can we come together to make mazel tov instead of haram? What's the plan?
I don't know if I can answer quite that question, but what we've said is that there are people with lots of lived experience, which is what you're talking about. They come from different backgrounds. Right. Obviously, being a member of Parliament, you're remunerated for that. But what we've got to do is balance a lot of priorities. There are significant priorities that we've got to do, and as the Treasurer said, we don't want to add to the inflation problem because that erodes people's quality of life. But we do want to see where we can help, and when we can help, where there's space to do it, we shall do so.
So what's the priority over the cost of living for Australians, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's the cost of living, but there's so many different areas. There is the income payment, there's health, there's education, there's a range of different priorities that we need to address.
Let's go back to Jeremy. Jeremy's got his hand up.
Minister, you've talked about balancing priorities and responsible economic management. So I'd put it to you directly. Do you think it's responsible economic management to starve welfare recipients? Do you think it's responsible economic management to drive more of them into homelessness? Is it responsible economic management to cut their ability to spend and circulate money through their economy? Because to me, that sounds grossly irresponsible.
Yeah.
suggested it's not tough to live on JobSeeker. I've never suggested that.
Well, it's
and
almost $745 a fortnight with dependents is more than tough.
It's
almost
tough.
impossible, isn't it?
Absolutely. Cost of living is tough at the moment, and I understand that, and we as a government will look at what we can do to support people with cost of living. It is our priority.
Can I just go back to that? Because the original question, before we move on, because I don't think we've got an answer to the original question, which was, will the government commit to a real increase in the rate in the upcoming budget? You can't say that now, so your answer to that is no right now. Is that right?
Well, you will get to see the budget when it's released by the Treasurer.
So you're going to take that, though? You're going to say to the Treasurer, I think we should do something about
we've
this rate.
set up actually an economic inclusion committee that is giving advice to government about a whole range of income payments.
I just want to be clear, though. Is this going to be one of the priorities? If these are the people who are earning the least,
We've been very clear that income payments is certainly something we'll have a careful look at in the budget, including setting up the Economic Inclusion Committee that will provide advice to government.
OK. We're going to bring you the result of our online poll now. We asked you, should political candidates have to live in the suburbs they're fighting to represent? Let's look at how you voted on that. Wow. OK. 75% yes, no 20%, I'm sure. What do you think of that, Sara?
Yeah, I was just interested in that poll, very interested. You know, the same issue plays out, surprise, surprise, in the US, but sometimes it just depends on who the person is. So, for example, famously one from each party, Hillary Clinton moved to New York, where, you know, very long association with Arkansas, moved to New York and then ran for senator not long after, I think the following year, and won. And Mitt Romney, who had been governor of the state of Massachusetts, moved out to Utah and won there as a senator. So to a certain extent, I guess it matters whether or not you're successful, but definitely you have to live in the district.
And does this go, I mean, one of the things we've seen in recent times, Osman, is that it's a pox on both houses, isn't it? Because the primary vote of both major parties is dropping. We're down, you know, you're getting elected now federally with less than a third of the primary vote. Is this the sort of thing that people are fed up with? Is this the sort of thing they want to see movement?
I think this conversation, a few of the conversations that we're having tonight, Stan, are examples of that. I think you've got something as fundamental as how do we help people on welfare live lives without having to starve? And at the same time, we're saying we're not sure if we can do that. We're giving tax cuts to the wealthiest, as you pointed out. And we did during the pandemic. We increased welfare payments. We lifted people out of poverty. And then we made a political decision to, you know, chuck them back there. And the fact that we can't, as a country, seemingly have a party that wants to attract the progressive vote, in this case Labor, commit to helping them seems quite, you know, incomprehensible to me. But to go to your question, you're right. We spent a lot of the earlier part of this evening talking about the crisis the Liberal Party is in. The Labor Party, federally, Victoria, New South Wales, won all those elections fair and square, but they won them with the lowest primary vote that ever had to win an election before. And that speaks to a fundamental ebbing away of the vote from both major parties, to Teals, to Greens, Independents, even parties on the right as well. That seemingly hasn't led to a huge crisis yet, but if we keep going down that path, we will end up with more extremists in Parliament. We'll end up with a population, I think this is more important, that just feels even more disenchanted with the political system. I think this is the United States,
Sarah. That is
happening
to a certain
and one of the
extent.
things at the heart of the US, to go back to the earlier question about fairness and the wealth divide, is the horrendous wealth gap in the United States.
Yes,
that fuels this sort of political division, doesn't it?
There has been an increase in the separation in terms of the wealthy and poor Americans. Certainly, I know that from the budget this year, well, in the State of the Union address, President Biden, one of the things that he called for was reinstating a child tax credit that had been there during the pandemic and was relied upon by a lot of families. So again, we see these consistent issues that go across both these two great democracies. And I think really you do have a sense of a lot of young people in the United States, with the difference that I'll point out in a sec, where they really do want to feel like they're invested in the political debate, that they're part of the conversation. And it really matters because in the United States, people don't have to vote. So you've got to reach them or you're not going to win the election.
I'll just get a quick comment from Greg. Looking at that result as someone in the machinery of politics, what do you take away from that poll?
Sorry, on this question or the
No,
poll?
the poll in general about, I mean, you chose someone outside of the area. Is this something you're going to make a priority of now, choosing the right people in the right seats?
I don't think so. Look, Rashina, her parents are from India. She born in Sydney, grew up, I can't remember. You know, we all move around. And but I can tell you what the Liberal Party offered in Aston was a truly outstanding candidate who was prepared to sign on the dotted line a lease. You know, she was prepared to represent that electorate. Alan Tudge, the last member, he was from outside the electorate. So I think you've made the point, you know, it depends on whether you win. But I want to agree with you too on the issue of this fracturing of the major parties' vote. You know, we could have a whole program on this because it's bringing other forces into play. It is increasing the likelihood of fringe dwellers. It's also bringing into play, from our point of view, something that's always been there, but I think it's becoming more of an issue, is preferential voting and how that's playing out, because it's killing us. The Labor Party always manages to, you know, collect a lot of those preferences. But what we're seeing now with the Teals in particular is the preferential voting system being gamed by the miners and Labor to make us lose.